fun thing, little activity to do. But what I need everyone looking at the camera. Melvin, it's you. Melvin, lunchtime passed. What are you eating, Melvin? What are you eating?
Hmm?
What are you eating?
Rice.
Just rice.
No,
All right, so I need to see your eyes on the camera. Let's sit still so we can have our little fun activity beforehand. Benaya, you look creepy. All right, I'm gonna share my screen and then, let me make sure it's working. All right, I'm gonna share my screen so we all can see. So how this is gonna work is you are going to chat me what you see in the photo. All right, who or what you see in the photo. All right, so first photo is up. Who is this? What do you see? All right, Haley's responded. Okay, Nazifa, who is this? Nazifa.
I don't know.
All right, Gabby, who is this?
That is The Rock.
That is The Rock,
Can I see?
right? Thank you. Gabby, can you mute yourself? I got it, thanks. All right, that is The Rock. Next photo. Anybody know what this is? I'll be impressed if you guys know what this is. If you do know, raise your hand. Anybody know what this is? It's a great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. Martinez, what is it? Danny Martinez.
School of Rock.
It is School of Rock. Thank you, Danny. Moving on. Great movie. Again, make sure you beg your parents to see it. If we get to go back to school, I'll show it on the last day. What is this? What is this? Who lives here? What is it? Put it in the chat. Melvin, what is it?
That is the house of I think it's Patrick Star's house. I think
Yeah, and what is it?
it's a clam.
It's not a clam. Melvin.
Clam.
Jaylene, what is it? Jaylene.
It's
a rock. It's a rock. Oh, these rocks keep popping up. Why is that? Who's this? Who's this? Anybody know? Put it in the chat if you know. I know you guys were born like yesterday, but maybe you know. Let's see. Brangelis?
Does his name start with an A?
All right, moving on. Who knows who it is? Benaya.
Rocky.
It's Rocky. All right, and Alaska says David Hasselhoff. All right, last one. Last one. Who's this?
Yes.
Anybody know? Anybody? No? Benaya, unmute yourself. Who is it?
Is it someone from the
All right, you don't know.
Is it from the
Who? Miss P, who is it?
It's ASAP Rocky.
ASAP Rocky. Why are we talking about all these rocks today, guys? I wonder why. Oh, let's see. So, what happened? Our problem has a bunch of rocks in it. All right, so Jennifer determined the total mass of 7 rocks was 3.5 kilograms. 2 of the rocks were 1/4 of a kilogram. 3 of the rocks were 1/2 of a kilogram. The remaining 2 rocks had an equal mass. What is the mass of the remaining rocks? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so I can see all of your faces. And I'm going to put the problem in the chat. So you should have this already in front of you. However, if for some reason you don't, I'm going to put it in the chat. What I need is for you to take the next 30 seconds and identify what this problem is asking us. What is being asked of us in this problem? And you meant to quote me corny. It's not nice, Daniel. I prefer the term clever, witty. So what is being asked here? You have your answer, you can state it in the chat. What is being asked? Jaden Stewart, I need you to show me that you are working. What is the question at hand? So we're coming back in 10, in 9, in 8, in 7, in 6, in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1. What's being asked of us in this problem, Sawa?
What's being asked in this problem is that it's telling us, it's asking us what is the mass of each of the remaining rocks that Jennifer weighed.
Okay. Thank you. Zayana, you chatted me. What is the mass of the remaining rocks? Okay. All right. So, Haley.
We're trying to figure out what is the mass of the last two rocks.
Right. So these last two rocks. So there's a lot of information within this problem, right? So what I want us to do is begin to dig deep and figure out the action. So what is taking place within the problem? Okay, I'm going to reread it one more time. So Jennifer, determine the total mass of 7 rocks. And make sure we're not fidgeting. Jaden Stewart, I need you to sit up, pretend you are in school at your desk. No. 2 of the rocks were 1/4 of a kilogram. 3 of the rocks were 1/2 of a kilogram. The remaining 2 rocks had an equal mass. What is the mass of each of the remaining rocks? All right, let's break this problem down. Let's describe what is happening. Okay, let's take a look at the first part of the problem. What do we know? What do we know, Casey?
That there are 3.5 kilograms of rock in total.
All right, we know the total weight of the rocks. What else do we know? What else do we know, Brian?
Well, the other things that we
know the total, listen, we know the total weight of the rocks, which is 3.5 kilograms. What else do we know in this problem?
What we also know in the problem is that two of the rocks were one.
Well, thinking outside, before we even get there, we know that the total mass, and we know what else?
We know the total mass, and we know the remaining 2 rocks.
Before we get to that point, so the total mass of the rocks, right? There are 3.5 kilograms, Brian. How many rocks do we have?
We have 7 rocks.
7 rocks. Okay, we know that we have 7 rocks, and we know that the total weight of the rocks that we have are 3.5 kilograms. Make sure that we are paying attention, right? So now, moving forward, right? Let's break this down further. So, what again? There's a lot of numbers being thrown at us. Okay, so how should we approach this going forward?
The way we approach the problem is that since 7 rocks are 3.5 kilograms, 2 of the rocks 1/2 kilogram, I think that we should add all. I think we should.
So let's not think. I don't want you to talk to me about strategy or operations yet. Let's look at the information that we've been given. What should we do as good mathematicians? How are we going to set up our plan to be successful? So we know 7 rocks are 3.5 kilograms. Go ahead, Saul.
We could put it so we could make an equation, and you could write an equation to support the 7 rocks to support the problem.
Okay, right. So we know these 7 rocks. We can make our equation, right? So there are 7 rocks in total. We know that. We know the total weight. We know 7 rocks. We're trying to figure out the mass of the 2 that we don't know. Okay. What other information are we presented with in this problem, Anthony?
Well, also information is how much, like, it's telling us 2 of the rocks are 1/4 kilogram, 3 of the rocks were 1/2, and 2 had equal masses that we don't know. So I think, and it also the total amount of there's 7 total rocks, and the total like weight is 3 and 1/2 kilograms, and want us to tell us what is that the weight of the two rocks that have equal mass.
So we need to figure out the 2 remaining rocks. Yes. Okay. Benaya.
We also have to figure out the mass of we have to figure out the mass of each of the remaining rocks, and we also know that
So we shouldn't be solving anything right now. So some of us are holding up papers to the screen. Go ahead, Benaya.
we also know that 3 of the rocks were 1.5 kilograms, and the remaining 2 had an equal mass.
Okay. Right, Daniel Mensa. Daniel Mensa, where did you go? Can you turn on your screen, please? Daniel Mensa, turn on your video. All right, so, and keep it on. Again, if your video is off, you're going to be marked absent for the class. So Nora, please turn your video camera on. Make sure we can see your face. King Abdullah. Right, so Justin, if we're trying to figure out those 2 remaining rocks, right? Now, what do we do with the information from the other rocks? What do we do with the other weights that we've been given?
You have to like figure out how much those weight, like how much those rocks weigh in total. So then you can subtract it by the 3.5 kilograms. So then you can figure out the remaining 2 rocks.
So you're saying we need to figure out? Okay, let me see if Scarlett, what do you think about what Justin just said? What do you think about Justin's idea? Justin, can you repeat yourself one more time?
Well, I said that you need to figure out the other 2 rocks, like they basically, then you can subtract it from the total amount, and then you can figure out the remaining 2 rocks is like basically like how much they weigh each.
Okay. Right. So taking a look back at this problem. Okay. So we know that we have the seven rocks in total. All right. We know that we're grouping these rocks to figure out what the weight of each is, what the weight of each group is. All right. So based on that information that we have, 3.5 kilograms. Okay. We know the weights of the other rocks. In the chat, I want you to message to me. Will the 2 remaining rocks, will each of them be more or less than 1 kilogram? More or less than 1 kilogram? Just type to me more or less and be prepared to explain why. Will each of the remaining 2 rocks be more or less than 1 kilogram? Remember, our total mass is 3.5 kilograms. More or less? Haja, you say more. Why?
I say more because based on this, I know that each of the 2 of the rocks were 1/4 of a kilogram, so that's a small amount, and 1/2 is also a small amount. So that means that it's probably going to be more because you have to get 3.5 kilograms in total. Also, I have a question. When it says 2 of the rocks were 1/4 kilogram, does it mean that each of the rocks were 1/4 kilogram, or does it mean that both of the rocks in total?
Yes, good question. So that means each, right? So we're speaking about each rock individually and their individual weight, right? Jaylene, you say less than 1 kilogram. Why?
I say less because if the total, if all the 7 rocks are 3.5 kilograms and 2 rocks are 1/4, 3 of them is 1/2, and we don't know the remaining 2, I think we might have to I thought less because if we like did all the math, I thought that maybe we would have gotten less than the total amount of kilograms, 3.5.
Okay, last one, Casey. You say less. Why?
I say less because if the rocks are both 2 kilograms, actually if the rocks are both 1 kilogram, then they'll be 2 kilograms total. And if 3 rocks are 1/2 kilogram, that's already over 1 kilogram, so that can't be possible.
Right. So based on the information that we have, we can kind of estimate and see right where those last what the weight of those last 2 rocks should be around. All right. So now what we're gonna do is head to our breakout groups, and we'll sit there for 8 minutes, and then we'll come back and discuss strategy.
Hello.
I don't know why it all of a sudden told me not to go in the breakout room. Let me see. Oh. Wait. I don't know what's going on, Ziana, sorry. Here, okay. Okay, guys, sorry, I don't know.
Did anyone's parents go out today?
The wrong.
Okay, voices are off in 3, voices off in 2, 1, and 0. So what you are going to be doing right now is, Jaden Stewart, I see you speaking. We're not speaking right now. We need to be working on our number story. If you do not already have a number sentence and a plan to solve, then I need you to make sure that you have that on your paper. Nope, I put these groups where they are on purpose. You're here for a reason. So let's go ahead and make sure that number stories is, that you're doing your number stories. Ronnie, pencil to paper. Not right now, Jaden. You went to the bathroom during reading. Jaden Stewart, number stories now. Once you have a number sentence, I want you to go ahead and silently chat it to me. Brian, do you have a number sentence? Number sentence first. Yes, Brian.
For this question, I'm confused when it says 7 rocks was 30 3.5 kilograms. Isn't
say that.
all the rocks 7?
Yeah, there's 7 rocks.
But then what is the number of rocks for 3.5 then? Since 7 is the total.
Right, so there's 7 rocks, and altogether it's 3.5, right? They're 3.5 kilograms.
But isn't 7 rocks the total amount of rocks
That's the total number of rocks.
they have?
So all of the rocks together make 3.5 kilograms.
Oh,
Once you have a number sentence, once again, please chat it to me. Brian Cruz. Nope. Brian, working. I'm not seeing everybody's pencil to paper. Does anybody have a number sentence? Ronnie? Ronnie? Go ahead, Brian. Not quite, Abdul Haq. Ronnie, I'm not understanding that number sentence. Okay, so if we're thinking about the problem, so we have 7 total rocks, right? We have 7 total rocks, and we know that 2 of the rocks are 1/4 each. That means we have 1 rock that's 1/4 and another rock that's 1/4. Then we also have 3 rocks that are half each. So we have 1 rock that's a half, that we have another rock that's a half, and then another one that's a half. And then total, everything is 3.5. We want to know the remaining rocks, how much are each of them? How much do each of them weigh? So this is a good problem, honestly, to model because there's a lot going on in this problem. So think about what's really going on. A lot of us are like oversimplifying it. Kaylin, you're close, but then we have that other part where we know the total amount. So what are we doing with that 3.5 kilograms? We're not just adding things. Ronnie, work. Jaden Stewart, do you have a number sentence? Go ahead, go to the bathroom. You need to be here, back here as soon as possible. Danny, how'd you get that?
What, is it correct?
Yeah, what'd you do?
Yay! So I did, so I know that the total mass,
Can't hear you. Mm-hmm.
I know that the total mass was 3.5 kilograms, and I knew that 2 of the rocks were 1/4, so I did 1/4 times 2, that got me 2/4, and I knew that 3 of the rocks were 1/2 kilograms, so I did 1/2 times 3, and that got me 1 1/2, and I did 1 1/2. So I did 1 1/2 plus 2/4, and that got me 2. And I know that since I had 2 and the total mass was 3 1/2, and there are 2 rocks remaining, I did 3 1/2 minus 2, and that got me 1 1/2. So I did 1 1/2 divided by 2, and that got me to 3/4.
Okay, great job, Danny. We're not quite, Abdul Haq. Yep, Kaylin, yeah, you're right. Let's see if we can get the answer. Melvin working, Brian working. Yes, Melvin.
I already did like everything. Like I did the word, and I also did the number sentence.
Well, then can you chat me privately your answer?
Yeah, I did.
Where I don't get your answer.
You didn't get it because I already sent it.
You gave me your number sentence. Chat me your answer.
The answer.
Don't tell me the answer. I muted you. I want. No, Brian. No, not right. So Ronnie, what's your answer? Right. Nice work, Ronnie. Ronnie, what did you do? Wait, Ronnie, lift it up. Okay.
right? So I think for the most part, or I know a good amount of us were able to get to the final steps of the problem, but we missed on one of the final pieces. All right, so what we're going to do is, Daniel Menta, we're going to spotlight you, and you're going to share. If you could turn your camera on. I'm not sure why. Daniel, are you there? No? Okay, then we'll go to Zainab. Zainab, we're going to share your work today, and then we will discuss. All right, Zainab, so can you unmute yourself? Okay, Zainab. So can you just hold it up to the screen because it's hard for us to see it that way?
Okay.
And can you start with the number sentence for us?
Is that better?
Yeah, but we can't see your number sentence. Can you move a little closer? Okay, perfect. Can you explain your number sentence to us?
So I put 1/4 times 2, and plus 1/2 times 3, and then I took away 3 and 1/2, and then I divided 2, and that
Okay.
equals x.
Can you explain that to us? So the 1 and 1/4 times 2, what that represent?
1 and 1/4 times 1/4 times 2 represents the
Say this to it, make sure you're paying attention. 1/4 times 2 represents what?
the 2 rocks.
The first 2 rocks, okay? And
Yeah.
then what did you add to that group?
The 1/2 times 3, and that represents the 3 rocks.
Okay, and let me pause you right there. So we at that point, what in Zainab's number sentence, where the 3 and 1/2 come from? Why did she subtract that?
The 3 and 1/2 came from like all of the rocks put together.
So that the total weight of the rock that we had initially. But Zainab, in your number sentence, why is that subtracted there?
It's subtracted by 3 and 1/2 to know
Did you subtract 3 and 1/2?
yeah, by the
You did?
total. Mm-hmm.
Or did you take away that amount that you got from 3 and 1/2?
I took away the amount that I had.
So our number sentence is a little bit. Okay. Walk us through your work.
So I did 1/2 times 2, and that got me 2/4. And then I did 1/2 times 3, and that got me 3/2. And then I added those numbers up, and that got me 6/4.
Okay.
And then
Pause right there. So far, agree, disagree? You use the same strategy to solve. Agree, disagree? Show me. Because I think a lot of us got to this point. Okay. Zainab, I'm gonna ask Ryan to continue sharing because he used the same strategy. So Ryan. Ryan, can you unmute? Ryan, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, so when I first did was I did 2.
Can you hold
So
up
I'm
the paper so we can see?
So first, I did 2 times 1/4, and I got 1/2. And then after that, I did 3 times 1/2, and then I got 1 1/2. And then I added 1/2 and 1 1/2, and I got 2. And then after
Okay, so once you got 2, what did that represent, Ryan?
the 2 represented the rocks, the rocks that two rocks that were 1/4 kilograms, and 3 of the rocks that were 1/2 kilogram.
So that gave you the known amount of weight that you had in that group of rocks. Okay,
Yeah, and
what did you do with that 2?
And then with that 2, I subtracted it with 3 1/2, and I got 1 1/2. And then after that, I divided it with 2 because there's 2 remaining rocks. So then after I divided the 2, I got 3/4.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to spotlight my screen. And we can see exactly what Ryan did.
Should I put it back up?
Ryan, where are you? All right, so now, sorry. I don't know what's going on with my Zoom. All right. So Ryan, can you hold your paper up one more time? Because we couldn't really see at first. Can you put it a little closer to the screen? Okay, so we see that you subtracted that 3, you subtracted 2 from 3 1/2, which was that total. Okay, and that 2 gave you the amount that you knew, or the amount of rocks, the total weight of the rocks that you knew you had. All right, and then you said once you got there, you did what? Can you unmute yourself one more time?
And then wait, what? What?
So you subtracted 2 from 3 1/2.
Okay.
And then what did you do?
Oh yeah, and then I divided it by 2 because there was 2 rocks left that we didn't know their weight, and then I got 3/4.
Okay, so I think that's the step that a lot of us missed. All right, so once Ryan was able to figure out that unknown weight, he knew he had to divide that because he had 2 rocks that he had to solve for. Okay, and then that got us to 3/4. Right, thank you for sharing, Ryan.
Okay.
All right, so again, it seemed like a lot of us got to that final step and then we forgot to divide. Remember, we need to be really investing in the question and using that to help us as a roadmap. All right, we're going to go into our final break for the day. Make sure that you are back here at 2:15.